Hello, everybody. Welcome to the revival of Game of the Month Club. I'm Lindsay. I'm going to be leading, I guess, the discussion today. But basically, we wanted to go back to basics of how Game of the Month Club started, which was, just a roundtable discussion about a game that we all like. And so I have a short presentation that might take like 10 or 15 minutes to go through, and then we can just chat about this game. So are there any housekeeping items I need to go over before we start, or are we good to go?
Maybe mention that we do this theoretically once a month and blah blah blah.
Right. Yes, sorry, we're just dusting off the cobwebs, but yeah, the plan is going to be to do this once a month again. Probably online until everyone gets vaccinated or is more comfortable being in person. This month is going to be Myst. We have yet to decide what the next games are going to be in the coming months, but maybe we can have a discussion at the end of this chat about what do we want to do next, and we can go from there. But before we do that, let's dive on into Myst. I have a little presentation, so I'm gonna share my screen. See if this works. Okay. All right, gotta move all your faces so I can press the play button. Here we go. Welcome to Myst, Game of the Month Club. Man, usually when I lead these, I'm like, raise your hand if you've played this game before. But we're all on Zoom and it's hard to see all of you. So I'm gonna assume that you've all played it.
Spent months in that game.
Yeah.
Kind of lived in it for a while.
I mean, that's kind of what you do is you live in this game. I remember.
I did live in VR mode,
Oh, that's true. We'll get to that discussion. So just a little bit of backstory on the game. Where's my mouse doesn't wanna. Anyway, okay. So Myst was released on September 24th, 1993 in, I think it was released on PC at that date. Mac might have been before that. I'm talking about the PC release of this game. Scott had discussed earlier that this game was originally intended for Sega Saturn. I'm not sure what it came out for Sega Saturn, but it came out on PC/Mac around September 24th, 1993. The format was CD-ROM, and it was the best-selling PC game of all time until it was beat by The Sims in 2002. These days, it's ported to virtually every modern console. Some old consoles, as we had discussed, DS, 3DS, it's on those. You might be able to play it on Apple Watch or any other kind of watch, I'm not sure. It's on phones, it's on Switch, it's on Steam, it's on everything. So this is a huge game. And there are several sequels to this game, actually, that came out after this game was released. Riven, Exile, and Revelations. I did play all of those because I'm a big old nerd. Some of them are not good, but they've made a lot of sequels, and they're all in the same universe. I did also read, there's a Myst book, and it's like a book that you can read that was like how the island came to be, like how Atris ended up there. I really don't remember anything about this book because it was pretty dry, but I do have it. All right, so gameplay. I mean, you're probably all aware of the gameplay since you've played this already. But it is basically a point-and-click adventure game. And
I realized.
Oh gosh! So this video I ripped from YouTube, and it's like the full playthrough, and it's an hour and a half. But got to all right, here we go. So this is what it looks like. This is classic Myst 1993 version in all of its 480p glory. I actually don't know what the resolution is for this game, but it's not very high. You can see every pixel in all of its glorious glory. And yeah, it's a point and click adventure game. You are plopped right there where that where that abandoned ship is, and you're like, huh, I'm just here, and I don't know why. And I think at the beginning of the story, like some dude is saying a bunch of like mystical nonsense that I didn't understand, and then I'm here, and I'm like, what am I doing here? So it's one of those games. It's just like, you're here, figure it out. So that's Myst in a nutshell. And as you can see, all the images are static, and I think they're mostly static. There's some parts of the game that like move, kind of like that. They're like GIF style GIFs inside of static images, but it's mostly static. You can't really like, walk around in a 3D space like modern games. And then books are portals. That's another big one. So there's this island, and there's other islands you can go to. You got to find the books to go to those islands. You go to those islands, you get more pages. You take the books back. You take the pages to more books. It's books on books on books. Anyway, I hope that was a good explanation of Myst for anyone who has never played the game. Maybe you're more confused now. So that was 1993. This is the 1993 version of the game. And then 25 years later, Myst released a 25-year anniversary of the game, in which they fully 3D rendered the whole game. So you can now you can walk around, and images are no longer static. The puzzles, I believe, are the same design, but now instead of like clicking on where you want to go, you can actually walk around in 3D space. And I actually never played this version. I played the 1993 version of this game. I got so used to just like clicking to where I wanted to go, and then I saw this like video of what it looks like now, and I was like, whoa, this is what the Masterpiece Edition is? I thought it was just like they updated some models or something. I didn't know that they fully 3D rendered the whole world. So like my mind was blown like 2 days ago. So yeah, this is the 25-year anniversary of the game. I think it looks pretty good. I mean, it's definitely not the same quality as a game that came out in 2019, but it is a re-render of a game that came out in 1993. So I think this is a really cool accomplishment for them. So as far as my personal experience with the game, I think I played it for the first time when I was like 6 years old. I remember like sitting on my grandpa's lap, and he was like actually playing it maybe when I was 3. And then I think I tried it myself when I was like 6, and I was like, this game's too hard, because I was 6 years old. My dad had an original copy of the CD-ROM for PC, and I think my grandpa also had a copy. They're like huge computer nerds. So I kind of had it by proxy, and that was my first foray into this game. And I've never played the Masterpiece Edition, as I've said before. And I did also play Ribbon in Exile. I think when I was a teenager, my dad bought me it was like a DVD box set that had Myst, the DVD version, Ribbon, the DVD version, and then Exile. And so I played those a lot. I think my dad had the original version of Ribbon, which is like 5 times the size of Myst. And so it was like 5 islands that you had to solve all these puzzles for. And then when you go to the islands, each island you had to take out one disc and put in another disc. And it was just a really, in my opinion, unplayable game. So I was really glad when it came out on DVD. But that's basically my history with the game. And that's pretty much my whole presentation. I've got some discussion points, like if we run out of stuff to say, but I can throw those out there ad hoc.
Yeah, I'll echo Nisa's question in the chat. How many of us?
Oh, I didn't even know there were questions.
Played Myst for the first time through the dad route. I feel like this is one of those games that like everybody's dad played, and then they may not have played anything else, but they played Myst, because it was sort of like a tech demo for their CD-ROM drive, their brand spanking new CD-ROM drive.
Well, I was told if I wanted to play Myst, I'd install the CD-ROM drive myself. So I have to
Yeah.
upload a computer and figure that DRM, DMAs, and IR keys for the CD-ROM drive and put the drive in master slave mode and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I know that for me personally, like Myst is my first ever video game memory because my dad was obsessed with it. He had like a little notebook where he would like take all his notes and he would let me sort of hang out and watch while he played, and the sequels too. And so like it's like one of my first ever sort of like things when I think of video games at like a really young age. And I feel like that was definitely how a lot of people sort of found it or discovered it. It's got like that really strong nostalgia kind of draw to it.
Yeah, totally. I'm curious if anyone played Myst not through the dad route and not because it's Video Game of the Month Club. You found out about it because of that. Gedalia.
Yeah, I don't remember. I mean, I guess I was 17 when it came out, 18. I remember a couple of the technical details. I think it actually was some kind of bootstrapped HyperCard stack.
That's true.
With a bunch of like add-ons. So I don't know. Are people familiar with what HyperCard is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not.
So imagine like the precursor to the web, except there is some other. I think it was Manhole might have been the precursor to Myst. It was a similar event.
It's
like
basically a bunch of pages that you link together.
Right. It's pages you can link together, and you can make words jump to the other pages or images jump to the other pages like it is HTML. And so that's where the term HyperCard, each one of these pages was a card, and a bunch of those concepts, I don't think they adopt, I don't know if it was the same place that they were adopted, but hypertext and HyperCard, you can see the name. But they had a whole elaborate scripting language that could make it more and I think it was originally black and white, but I think there were some mods that allowed it to be color and maybe add a little bit of animation. If my memory was, there were some like little mini GIF animations sort of built into that Myst had that sort of sat on top. The other thing I remember is that if you knew which, you could win in actually like 2 minutes.
Way less than that.
Way less than that.
Right. So there was like, that's what I remember at the end when I got to the end of it, I remembered that like, oh, there wasn't really any inventory and it was just like this piece of information that you needed that you could immediately finish the game. So it was, it wasn't really remotely satisfying to speed run it.
I remember figuring out how to beat the game, like playing the entire game. I was like, I don't know, 12 or 13. And then once I found out, oh, it's this like code that you have to just run into the fireplace and then enter in the code, and then you just like the green page is like right next to the book or something, and then you win.
There's only one good ending though.
Yes. Okay. So there's multiple endings. I forgot that this game has multiple endings.
There's three bad end. Well, technically, 3 of them just soft lock you.
So I played it with, I think I played it when I was about 11 years old. CD-ROM drives were kind of a new thing. And my family had like a DOS computer, or maybe it was running like an early Windows. But then I had this friend of mine in the neighborhood. He had a Macintosh computer that had a CD-ROM drive, and he had like SimCity 2000 and also had Myst. So we saw I guess his parents bought the game because of the box art, and it looked really like I'd never seen 3D graphics like this. Like that world looks so adult and like mysterious, and it just looks very adult, like in a way that is it's not like a Nintendo game. It's very serious, almost like a Magritte painting or one of those forget what they call that type of art. That's surrealism. Yeah, it looked like a surrealist world. And so we would pop in the CD, and then like CDs were really cool, so that was new. And then just like loading up that world, and it was you're on the dock of the island, and just I'd never seen graphics like that before. Trees. So whenever there's like a new graphics paradigm, it's so fun just to look at the art, and you just get lost in those single frame graphics. And I hadn't experienced that HyperCard style gameplay where you're like clicking and going to different images. So that was totally new too, like kind of navigating the world. I think Wolfenstein and Doom had already come out at this point, but it was still
Wolfenstein was out already.
It was the same year.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it would have been about
I think
the
it may have
same
been
time
after
as
this.
Wolfenstein.
so there were other immersive like first-person shooter type things, but this one,
And Ultima Underworld was out, and
Oh, yeah,
System
Ultima,
Shock
yeah.
was really out, I believe.
but this one because of
Sure.
fidelity of the graphics, it almost makes me think of Donkey Kong Country a lot because it's like pre-rendered graphics, and then those trees that Lindsay was just showing always make me think of Donkey Kong Country. But when we played it with my friends, we never really got deeper than like 20 minutes into it because I'd be hanging out at his house, and then something would happen, and we wouldn't have time to get that deep into it. And we were kids, so we'd get kind of stuck, and then you'd always start from the beginning usually. And so I wasn't able to really sink my teeth into the puzzles until like 10 years later when I had the CD and I played it on my other computer.
So
I
where
think
did
I never
you,
figured out the puzzles because I just got stuck like listening to the sounds and looking around and just didn't. I don't know. I think I was 12 when I started playing it.
the,
I
I mean,
never really.
the puzzle I
um,
hated the most was the one of the
The runner on the track underground.
no, that
No, okay,
the,
that was terrible.
telescope one.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I saw someone had a Twitter thread today, and he was mentioning like, okay, what games did you break out your graph paper for? And he mentioned that level and I think maybe I don't remember how I solved it. Maybe desperation.
I remember I always went right, I think, or left, and I would just keep going left. And then if I, it's kind of
Oh wait,
I
Figured it out.
replayed it for this, and I tried to do it the proper way, because I don't really remember the answers
you
to the
got the
puzzles. So I just
manhole.
I just like took notes like you're supposed to, and it was pretty intuitive, but some of the
Yeah, did
puzzles
it-
were really like not fun.
but you've got the manhole behind you.
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah, and this weird Cosmic Osmo hologram thing.
Oh right, that was
that was the other one that they did.
The Wood
after
Age was
Manhole.
probably my favorite age.
the wood age. That was almost all the pipes. You had
Yeah,
to make the water flow.
yeah.
Okay. I remember getting really stuck on that island. I don't remember why. I liked all the tree houses.
What you had to do was, you remember how to get into the age? You had to light up the steam and then go up, right?
Yeah.
Turn it off and then run outside the house and go inside and then go down. And
Yeah,
then
I remember that.
Yeah, the world was so easy to get lost into though, like because even if you couldn't solve a puzzle, there was still lots of places to explore and kind of like just exploring the island and finding a little spot that you could click and then you could get a little deeper into like a path. And I remember kind of filling up the game in my mind as you're exploring the space and you're trying to remember where things are, but it felt so foreign, this alien world.
I think the HyperCard stack versus a 3D first-person shooter took away a little bit of your brain's ability to understand how things connected. You clicked, but you didn't really have a sense of how far you went.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that might have contributed to like sort of the sense of dislocation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
I
all-
even noticed that replaying it is just that, sometimes in some of the ages, a lot of stuff looks the same.
Right.
And when you turn left, it turns left to a different degree depending on which spot you're turning left at. And you have no idea which way you're actually going unless you're sort of like drawing it out. Like Channelwood is pretty bad for that.
hmm Going back to the multiple endings, though, did anyone beat the game? Like beat the game, but get betrayed by either the two brothers? Yeah, I think I'm trying to remember who I saved. I think it was the blue guy. I like the blue guy better than the red guy, so I wanted to save him because I don't know. I liked his energy, and then
His psychotic energy.
yeah, it was great. He was cool. And like, I don't know, I was 12 and impressionable. And I remember beating the game, but getting the bad ending. And I think that was the first time that I felt that a video game had betrayed me.
and then
But not the
you can-
last.
And then you can get stuck in the whatchamacallit.
I was like, wait, video games can do this to you? This sucks. But I'm also fascinated.
And then you can get stuck on Kevlar. Too.
So there were 3 endings. One which you like get betrayed by one brother. The other one you get betrayed by the other
there's
brother.
4 endings.
4 ending. And
Yeah,
like, was there like the
technically-
middle one which you betray both of them?
Yeah.
The good endings.
So like there's the good ending where, you know, you figure out that their dad has been imprisoned in this other book, and if you get this one page, you can, you know, free him. But if you click on his book without the page, then you're screwed and you're stuck there too.
Then you're stuck in there.
Yeah,
And
because
he's just like,
trapped.
you idiot. I can't believe you did that. I told you.
I was like, welcome to my book room. We can't get out now.
Yeah, the Kevlar age. You can't get out of it. Like, it's one way.
Ugh, that was
He
so
brought the
fun.
page, right? And eventually it was like, you
Do
idiot.
y'all want me to play the bad end?
Sure.
I'll find
Yes.
it.
Which one?
Yes.
The one where you get
I
stuck
sort
in
of
the
haven't
book.
seen it in years.
Well,
Okay.
technically, if you do either bad ending, where you give the pages to the brothers, you get stuck in the book. Both of them do the same thing.
So would anybody say that the room puzzle games are like the descendants of Myst?
Oh, the mobile game, The Room, where you
Yeah.
have all those puzzles. I got it. I played like 3 of those. Those are great. They have
Yeah,
like,
just can't help but feel like they might be a little misty and, you know.
totally.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of descendants of Myst.
Yeah, like the Witness definitely comes to mind.
Lindsay
Yeah.
presented that one last
Yeah.
year. The Witness might be the most misty game.
I think so.
I think
All right.
Really blew John Blow's mind.
This one is all bad endings, which I'm just gonna go ahead and play. Hope it's good.
Oh,
I do love the sound design of this
The
game.
sound is so good.
you have to, you know, sound hasn't changed that much, right? You can go back to a 30-year-old game and it can still sound good. Versus like the rendering, it feels a little weird feeling like this was awesome.
Oh, I feel alive. And how do you feel, my friend? Oh, whatever here. Perhaps pages you work so hard for. Whoops.
I forgot he rips the pages out.
Yes. Oh. Perhaps you're seeing the world from my point of view. Yes. Oh. There's my brother. Oh, yes. Maybe someone will rescue you someday. You lose.
It really makes an opportunity to hire Tim Curry.
Might have been the first time a real person in a game told me that I lose.
Scary. It's like some Black Mirror episode. This guy gets locked in.
Oh yeah, and the last pages are next to the green book. And I remember being like, another book, whatever. I forgot what the brothers' names were. Does anyone remember?
Akinar and Cirrus.
Wow.
Oh, yes! Yes! I'm free! Oh, thank you, my friend. My dear friend. You've done the right thing. You stupid fool! It looks like perhaps you're in the book now. And what have we here? A page. Oh no. I hope you enjoy your new home as much as I enjoyed it. I can't see you. You're getting less clear. I hope you're in the books. The library looks much the same as I left. Oh, I can Goodbye.
So that was Cirrus. Okay.
Who the devil are you? Don't come here to Dunny. Not yet.
Yeah, Denny.
Donnie. Hello. We did what you told us not to.
My friend. You returned. We meet face to face. And the page. Did you bring the page? You didn't bring the page. You didn't bring the page. What the fool are you? Oh. Did you not take my warning seriously? Welcome to Dunny. You and I will live here forever.
Oh.
He just goes back to work.
Yep.
Yep, you're stuck there forever.
I don't know what he's writing, but you know, I just get to hang out with this dude and he just looks at you and
Maybe someone who's way more hardcore than me can explain this, but like I find this part kind of confusing because it's like, okay, yeah, you're stuck here forever with him, but like, couldn't he just use the art to like keep making new worlds and you could go wherever the fuck you want? Like,
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Yeah,
Like,
that's kind of the beauty of games, right? You would think, but now you're stuck.
he is sitting there writing. Can't he write the page that he needs?
maybe
I guess you-
maybe you have to read the fan book in order to find out. I don't know.
You could say that Atris has really written himself into a corner.
Ooh,
I'm sorry.
we forgive you.
Well, Revan, you go find his wife.
And what was the good? Was there a
Oh,
really
I guess
happy
we could-
ending? Is
Yeah,
that in
let's
there?
play the happy ending. Maybe he explains what he's writing. I think he does actually. Let me find it. Okay, good ending. Let me just.
I mean, even the good ending is pretty dark, but
I feel like this game was kind of a lesson in disappointment, and the sound still haunts my nightmares or something. Like vague trauma from this game.
Okay, there we go. page.
You can also drop the page still in there.
Ah, my friend, you've returned. And the page, did you bring the page? Ah, give it to me.
You'd be like,
Give me the
no.
page.
I love that F&B thing where just
It just appears in his hand.
I have a difficult choice to make.
Because those are the linking books. You can't just. There's only certain books you can link stuff to worlds. Jason, that's why.
I know, I get that. I just mean to say you aren't really stuck there because he could make other worlds, couldn't he? Like, maybe
he
you
doesn't
can't
have
get
any
back to
linking.
Myst, but
Betrayed me. I know what I must do. I shall return shortly.
Oh, is he gonna kill his sons?
Well, not kill.
maybe.
Not kill, just burn the books.
Oh, right. Yeah.
He's not killing them, he's just burning the books.
Consigning them to permanent exile.
But doesn't that
Like
destroy
all
the
good
world, though?
dads.
No, it just leaves you. There's no exit anymore.
Yeah, it leaves you wherever you are.
Yeah, it leaves you wherever you are. Like,
I mean, is he creating the world or connecting to a multiverse where it just?
It's kind of unclear, at least from this game. Like, hold on.
I have many questions for you, my friend. But
Same.
my writing cannot
well,
wait.
there's books that are one way, and there's books that are two way. Because
Fear that my long delay may have already had a catastrophic impact on the world in which my wife, Catherine, is now being held hostage. Oh. And reward, I'm sorry, but all I have to offer you is the library on the island of Myst, the books that are contained there. Feel free to explore at your leisure. I hope you find your explorations satisfying. You will no longer have my sons to deal with.
You can really feel the urgency of finding his wife and helping her.
Oh, and one more favor. I am fighting a foe much greater than my sons could even imagine. At some point in the future, I may find it necessary to request your assistance. Until that point, feel free to enjoy the explorations from my library on Myst. Thank you again.
You're welcome, dude. It's a nice ceiling.
Yeah. Gwen.
Oh, wow. That book exploded. And the other one exploded.
Oh yeah, I didn't remember that they show up in the sequel. But it's like, you know, it's kind of weird when you think about it, because when you read through the journals, they talk about, on the one hand, writing in books to create the worlds, but on the other hand, not knowing what's there and like going into the world and sort of discovering things. And so, like, you know, what exactly they're doing is kind of tricky and just vague and uncertain.
Yeah, and then he's like, and then there's a greater foe, even greater than myself. And I'm like, oh, we're going to fight a big old dragon or something.
It's reminiscent. There's a Greg Bear book called Eternity and Eon. There's two different books, and there's some like infinitely long corridor where you can go and connect to different worlds, and like, you know, you move a little to the left and you go to one universe, and a little to the right go to another, and you know, they look for like different properties of it. They're both very good books, actually, if you like hard sci-fi. But yeah, it's sort of reminiscent of like, oh, I'm gonna open a conduit to this world universe that has some of the properties I like, and we'll see what happens.
I think one of the things that's really cool and unique about Myst, like even now, even years and years later, is the fact that it does sort of tap into all of these like concepts that would sort of become bigger later. Like I feel like that idea of sort of alternate worlds didn't get like really popular in the popular culture until relatively recently. And I think they were definitely one of the first people who were sort of doing that on like a more mainstream level. And I also just think the fact that like the actual world of Myst is like really unique. Like they created a fantasy world that's not like, it's not high fantasy, it's not, elves and shit, it's not like, distinctly sci-fi. I wouldn't even say it's got some elements of stuff that you could maybe call like steampunk or diesel punk, but like it's really unique.
But not quite.
But not quite. Yeah, it's like it's definitely like Jules Verne inspired.
Yeah, they say in some talks that they've done about it that they ripped off, especially a particular Jules Verne novel, The Mysterious Island, or maybe it's a different title, something like that, and also the Chronicles of Narnia stuff. In that you're like going through a portal to a different world.
Narnia
but,
vibes.
You can't draw like direct lines to any of the particular things that are in the game other than there's an island.
Yeah, it's really original, and it's really hard to create original sort of fantasy worlds. Like conceptually, it's really, really difficult to do. And they managed to kind of hit this sweet spot where it's like, it kind of reminds you of stuff, but it never feels derivative. And I think part of that's probably because it's still so mysterious in the first game. Like you're really only getting little bits of lore. And having only played, I only played Riven briefly, and I haven't played any of the other sequels, so I don't know how much more involved things get. But I think it's really notable that it's one of the few fantasy games I can think of that really does something that's like very unique.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Riven takes right after you go after his wife in this sequel.
Yeah, he's like, she's trapped in this place called Riven, and then he gives you a book, and then you go there, and you're like, okay, another place where I don't know anything, and I got to figure it out.
Riven was much more difficult than Myst.
Yeah,
puzzles.
I agree.
I feel like that it's like
more abstract than Myst puzzles were.
The one thing that's consistent across all universes is like, you must now solve a puzzle.
Yeah, and then there's like meta puzzles and everything. It's crazy.
Then Myst 3 and 4 are weird.
Yeah, Exile, I think they have a child or something.
Yeah. And then 4, you're going after their daughter.
Yeah.
Well,
I think there was someone that stole their child in.
Yeah, someone
Exile.
stole their child, yeah.
Yes. Actually, Exile, I think, had a really cool island. It's another one where you like have portals to 3 different islands. And there was one where you had to like solve 5 different puzzles all over the island. And then you go all the way to the top. It's kind of like a mountainous island. You go all the way to the top. You get inside this ball, and then you like fall down, and then you're like rolling through a roller coaster, which goes through all the puzzles that you solved, and it's like a big finish or whatever, which I thought was really cool.
5 was okay.
Was that Uru?
No, that was End of Myst. End of Ages.
Yes.
That's the end of the series.
So we've got Witness, we've got The Room, mobile games. Do you have any other things that feel like Descendants? Just curious. I mean, The Room feels like it has this very mysterious little puzzles, pretty artwork. There's some occult going on that you don't quite understand, but I feel like it's got a similar sort of story vibe a little bit.
And then, that sprinkle of Jules Verne, as Lisa
mentioned.
mentioned.
A little bit of steampunk.
Yeah.
The Outer Wilds.
Oh, yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Guess
yeah, it's hard to. I think The Witness is like the biggest one I can think of. Maybe Gone Home. I don't know.
Nah.
Not really. Yeah, I don't know. It's like it's pretty unique in my opinion.
Aqua Beyond the Village.
I'm just looking this up, but like the Talos Principle, which is kind of just a Myst thing.
Yeah, it's more like.
I think it also just was notable because everyone played it, right? I mean, it was a game that was so many people were aware of. It just sold so many copies. It wasn't technically that complex. And if you look back at it now, it's like, oh, they had access to it was novel to see pre-rendered 3D, but it was pre-rendered. It wasn't really that, it was a game that worked on a CD-ROM, partly because the CD-ROM just had massive amounts of storage, but, pathetic seek time. I mean,
it's basically built around that technology, it wouldn't you couldn't really make
it was not like you couldn't have done it beforehand because you had floppy disks and I don't know if anybody Sierra Online, their last couple of games as they tried to get higher resolution graphics,
we're on 10 floppies.
10 floppies. You'd spend all your time. And I think it actually
how about installing Windows 95 on floppies?
Yeah. So I mean there's the floppy shuffle. But also you have to think about the cost of that. A CD to manufacture was probably a couple of bucks. When you're starting to ship a game on 14 floppy disks, you're hitting the point where the media actually is an appreciable percentage.
Not to mention increased shipping costs because the box is heavier now too.
Right. Well, boxes were huge back then, and sometimes there was, but
having 10 floppies was heavier than a CD. Now.
Yes, that's true. And there was a certain point where DVDs, finally people are like, okay, well, there was some point, I think it may have been Walmart or Target, somebody pushed for the slip small DVD cover.
Before we went to slip covers, we went to the smaller, tiny boxes.
Right.
And then we went to slip covers types, and then we went to just putting the code in the box now.
Right. But yes, I think the point is that Myst was, if you think about it, it fit the tech that existed really wonderfully. It was an opportunity to, you could stream in data slowly, and a lot of data. And, so it wasn't technically sophisticated, except it relied on this new way of getting data onto your machine.
It's basically an FMV game. It's pretty much.
Yeah, and that's kind of an interesting point because of the fact that I mean I keep referencing these videos that I've watched recently where they're talking about it just because I was brushing up before this. According to talks that the Miller brothers have given, Sunsoft was holding them to the standard of the Seventh Guest. It was is this going to be better than the Seventh Guest? Is it going to be, is it going to have the kinds of things that the Seventh Guest does? And a lot of the stuff that's in Myst was around at the time, but one of the things that does actually make it stand out is, not only just the world building and, just the sheer attractiveness of the exploration, but the fact that they designed it with non-gamers in mind, to a large extent. And they talk about that a lot too, that they they wanted it to not have an interface. They wanted the puzzles to be really intuitive. They wanted it to be sort of you just click around and you figure things out.
Intuitive puzzles, questionable.
Did anyone play the Seventh Guest? Is it a similar experience?
I played a little bit of it.
It's more of a point of click adventure game.
Yeah,
than
it's like a horror haunted house kind of thing with these really scary FMV videos and really interesting puzzles too.
Was it different than there was a bunch of games, The Uninvited, I'm trying to remember who else. They were black and white. They're on the Mac. There
were Mindscape Mac adventure games that So Deja Vu.
Right, Deja Vu, and they were really interesting.
Yeah.
We should. It would be interesting to have a one of these nights devoted to those games.
We have in fact talked about that. You know, I mean, we haven't done one of these, but we've talked about doing that. So yeah, you know, we should do that sometime.
What about Laserdisc Night?
But yeah, like those are like very much the predecessor to this, and you know, it's doing the same kind of thing, but just, you know, fancier.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. If you, I think those games were actually much more sophisticated than Myst. Maybe not aesthetically, in terms of 3D rendered graphics and the size, but in terms of like, you know, game design where there's inventory and, you know, item interaction and those pieces were more sophisticated than Myst.
I mean, interesting you should use the term game design because, you know, in the sense that like, you know, the way that the gameplay functions is more complicated. Yeah, they are way more sophisticated. But on the other hand, the game design, you know, is much less intuitive in those, and figuring out the puzzles, they're just completely arbitrary. And, you know, in Myst, like they're not all great puzzles, but I was surprised at how many of them I could just figure out, you know, very organically.
No, I mean, the Mindscape games were hard. They were definitely hard and sort of brutal to a small child. I definitely remember them being sort of like, maybe I came back years later and managed to win them. Yeah, so I mean, I guess in terms of like access and who you're catering to, they are very different. But yeah, it always got to me that there was no inventory in Myst, that you could hold one item at a time and that was it. And like, I just found it like kind of bizarre. And yeah, I mean, if you're targeting the masses, especially at that time, you know.
Also that time, CD-ROMs were not common desktop PCs.
I think it's also interesting because a lot of the times when you hear people talk about, I mean, like various creative stuff, but I think it's interesting that sometimes you'll hear people say that when they work with limitations, it actually ends up making them more creative, or they end up finding sort of more interesting solutions to those problems. And I think the fact that when the Miller brothers were making this, they were coming out of this background of like working in HyperCard, which is like relatively limited in terms of what you can actually do and is like very simplistic in terms of actual programming and game design stuff. And the fact that they took that system, which is, I wouldn't call it primitive, but it's a lot more streamlined and sort of stripped down. And the fact that they took that and made it into something that was really influenced by like the Mac Venture games, and we're able to just be like, okay, well, we can't do an inventory. We don't really have the capability to do that. What should we do instead? Right. We can't do, you know, a puzzle like this. So how do we do it instead? And I think that that's a really interesting result of them sort of taking what they could work with and what they knew how to work with and sort of like molding it into a different way that it ended up actually like solving problems that might have turned up if they were trying to make it like a more sort of traditional point and click adventure.
Right. I guess because I'm a software engineer and write code, I'm sort of like, this wasn't so complicated. I understand the game design and making it accessible to end users is another story, obviously. But I'm like, where's the code?
It did feel very different. I mean, maybe that's like the Macintosh kind of style of development, like even the HyperCard thing. Like as someone who's playing a lot of console games and even like DOS Windows games, it just feels really out of left field, the whole approach to the game design and the gameplay. So,
well, consoles were faster for handling sprites at the time.
Yeah, I guess Myst was really the CD-ROM at the time was almost like buying a new console. It was a big purchase, and this was the system seller of CD-ROMs. Yeah, so this is like, I'm gonna get my new CD-ROM drive so I can play. What do I play? I'll play Myst.
It was the killer app for CD-ROM.
Mm-hmm. I think it was also one of the first time I'd seen like motion capture people show up in a game, like actors and stuff. I think Mortal Kombat is the other iconic game that started that.
Yeah, it was all chroma keyed in.
Yeah, it was chrome. I mean, Yeah, Mortal Kombat was similar. Yeah, they were animated and controllable as opposed to those guys, which were just chroma keyed. Well, I don't 93 chroma key. I mean that. I don't know if that was. I think that was surprising. Might have been surprising to see more because like seeing video on a computer was novel. The bandwidth for that. I don't think
around 93 is when video started becoming possible with computing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, totally novel. QuickTime came out during production of this, and they had a real problem putting video of themselves in it, and QuickTime solved it. It was like, raised from heaven and saving them.
What version are we on now? QuickTime?
I mean,
I'll talk about Apple with QuickTime.
The API has been rewritten multiple times, and
yeah, like I part of me wants to go back and be like, what do those actors look like now? Were they in anything else? I don't think they're recognizable to me. I don't think I've seen them in anything else.
So the
actors are the two guys who made the game, and one of them plays two roles.
Yeah, so the Miller brothers play all three parts, and Rand is Atris and Akinar. So he's disapproving dad and crazy bro, and then Robin is Sarah's condescending bro. So there's some overlap there, but it really does just drive home how like small of a and how like internal of a production it was that they were like, shit, I guess we got to get actors to do this, or we could just do it. Like
they did a good job.
They do. It's fun. And then I don't know if Robin reprised the role as Saris in the sequels, but I know that Rand plays Atris in like I think all of the games.
Yeah, all the ones I remember.
Yeah.
Do you guys know where the sounds came from? Did they record them?
It says that Wikipedia said that they recorded like 40 minutes of music for it and composed.
So they had they did their own music at the behest of Broderbund. They didn't want to put music in because they didn't like that. They were they had principal reasons against it. But they did have sound effects the entire time. They had a sound guy, and there's a funny video of him talking to, there's a making of Myst video where he talks about some of the things that he did, like the bubble sound is him blowing in a toilet. But the music is all done on, I don't know what program they use, but it's like a black and white Mac SE, program with a MIDI keyboard, and Robin Miller just did all of the music himself. Because Broderbund told them, you guys should put music in this, and they're like, all right, well, we'll try it, and it kind of worked. So
they're like, oh, we put too many sound effects in it. There's no room for music. Whoopsie. There's a lot of sounds in that game, a lot of ambient sound. It's like everywhere. I don't think there was
sound puzzles even.
Yeah, I don't think there was a panel of the game that you run where there wasn't some sort of sound.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone had a favorite sound?
I mean, after knowing that the bubble sound is the sound guy blowing in a toilet, that's kind of my favorite. But
I think just the sound of when you go through the books and it sort of warps you, and it's that kind of wobbly. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's that. Yeah, I don't know what that is, but it's so distinct, and it's interesting that it's that kind of concept of, it's not just like, okay, well, bubbles, you make a bubble noise, or chopping, you make a chopping noise. That it's like, what kind of noise is it when you get sucked into a book? And it's great. I think it's really it's just really cool sound design that they're like, what could that possibly sound like?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting, the idea of getting stuck in a book too. Like, it's not something that you think about happening today, I guess, with the proliferation of technology.
Yeah, it reminds me of the fear. It's like a Black Mirror episode where the AI gets stuck in like a cell for just infinity or something, and you're just trapped there forever. It's terrifying.
Yeah, And I always wondered, how do they not starve to death? Where do they go to the bathroom? It's always mystified by that.
And also, what happened to all of the people that they talk about in the journals that are in all of those other ages? Like, Channelwood is full of, those tree people, and there are a bunch of people living in, the Selenitic, and they're all just gone.
All
It
gone.
felt very lonely, yeah.
It makes it feel kind of sinister. It makes you feel like, oh my God, did Saracen Akinar do a genocide? Like, what happened? Fuck.
It was a really creepy game, like feeling like I was alone walking around this island. Similarly, actually, to how The Witness felt, because you would see all these statues and stuff, and then you were the only one there. That same energy like echoes through Myst. I mean, the real reason is probably because they didn't have a budget to hire people walking around in this place or interact with you.
Video was just really hard.
Yeah.
I mean, beyond that. And The Witness, I think that it's sort of a similar, I don't think John Blow wanted to put people and it was a small game. I mean, it's a hard, long game, but it's also sort of small,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but similar feeling, I remember.
Is Myst a better game than The Witness?
I mean, we're standing on the shoulders of giants.
I like the ending of Myst a little more. The idea of having to avoid getting betrayed twice, like
Myst has a story that I could actually divine from the experience of playing the game, whereas The Witness was sort of unclear.
I didn't manage to finish The Witness, so. But I finished Myst.
Yeah.
It is interesting that it's way easier to get the bad endings in Myst than it is to get, like, there's the one good ending and there's the 3 bad endings, and it's like, if you figure out, I mean, I just think it's funny that they're like, they really make you work for it. They want you to fail. Like, I feel like that's the sort of just thinking about it
there.
Well, thinking about it from
like it's like everything up to that point they make you work for it, and then they just put like, here you go. The obvious thing to do is the bad ending.
Yeah, I feel like thinking about it from a game design perspective, it's like I have to kind of conceptualize of it as that they were like, okay, the player's probably going to get one of the bad endings the first time. So then to increase our replayability, then they'll want to do it again and find out what the good ending is. And also because it's the 90s, they'll probably buy a strategy guide or whatever. And, you'll figure it out. And I think that's, thinking about it that way, it sounds a little mercenary. But I do think that makes it more interesting, because it's like, you would totally just be drawn to like, okay, well, I have to get these 2 guys out of their books, or I have to pick one or whatever. And then you do that and you're like, oh, I picked the wrong brother, I fucked up. And then you go back and you do it again and you pick the other one and you're like, this guy also betrayed me? What the heck? And then finally you're like, oh shoot, their dad is hanging out here. Okay, I guess he's the right choice.
Like 5 minutes per, can't you just get the bad ending and then what does it do? Does it reset the game?
Nope.
No, you just go back to a save. It's like, you don't even, there isn't even like an end screen. Like, you just kind of like are stuck.
You're stuck.
You have to restart it. You could actually save your state there if you want to.
Yeah, you can.
Then you're
totally
truly screwed.
Yep. Same thing at Denny. You can lock yourself in Denny roll too.
But you're still not screwed. I mean,
Very
as long
immersive.
as you know how to enter the page, the thing on the board, you can get back there from the
Just
beginning.
provided you wrote it down.
Provide you wrote
You
it
gotta
down.
write it down.
Well,
You have
providing
to
you knew
roll-
where to look in the book to get it. Like, it's in a particular one of those books in the library.
Right. No, but you wind up, if my memory serves, it's like there's like 30 patterns, and like one of them, and it takes like a minute or 2 to enter it. And that's it. And it's like, oh, if you were willing to go through all 15 pages and spend an hour doing it, you didn't even have to find the right book that had the page. But there's one spot in the game that says, go to this page.
Yes.
And you write that down.
So technically there's a little bit more to it than that, although, you know, it wouldn't necessarily mean you have to go back if you had already gone through the rest of the game. There are these two halves of this letter that, you know, you find each one in particular places and in different ages that you can travel to. And they tell you that if you flip all of the switches on Myst Island and then flip one back the other way, then that marker box will open and there will be, that's where the green pages / white page, the one that you need to get the good ending.
Okay. And then
So-
you drag that page.
Yeah. So it's not just putting the right code in the fireplace. You have to do that too, but you have to know to do that.
And there are 3 pages in the box or 2 pages?
There's one
One.
page in the box. There's 2 pages next to the green book once you enter in the fireplace code. And it's like, oh, you could finish the game with these 2 pages, but what's this green book? I don't know. No one was talking about people who were trying to randomize the puzzles, or was that just an idea someone had? Is that a real
Yeah,
effort?
it's a real thing in the VR version.
How does it work? Did you try it?
I didn't try it.
You should try it. I'm curious.
I gotta charge my Quest 2, otherwise I'll do a live demo right now.
Yeah, it sounds like I'm really intrigued by how that actually like works in the game. Just because I'm like, do they randomize? You know how it's like are all of the puzzles the same, but they have different solutions? Is it that like they randomize the order that the puzzles show up in? I'm intrigued by that. Just because I think the whole idea of like randomized puzzles, or we were joking earlier in a conversation talking about like roguelike Myst, if you had like procedurally generated puzzles, like how would that even work? And I just think that's really intriguing.
My guess is they just randomize the solutions for the puzzles, right? But for the existing puzzles, right? You just need to get different information this time.
Yeah, probably.
Oh yeah. Hey, my name's Sam. I used to design little custom drinks for Game of the Month Club. How y'all doing?
Hi.
Good to see y'all. It's been a
Long time.
A long time at this point.
So what's the drink of the Myst age?
I drew a little picture because I don't really have a home bar here, and I'm also on antibiotics, so I can't drink right now. But so it's called the Sunken Unsunk Ship. It looks like this.
Oh wow.
Nice.
You see them right there?
Oh,
Wow.
I'll post the picture in the chat.
Great.
So it's 1 shot blue curacao, 1 shot vodka. Before time, you just want to like get one of those, like those little cold brew tea infusers that you have. Like, just put some lemonade in there and a Earl Grey tea bag. Just put that in the fridge for a few hours. You'll get like a Earl Grey infused lemonade. So you want to pop the curacao, the vodka, your Earl Grey lemonade, some ice, and a shaker. Just shake it like really lightly so it's just like really cold. You don't want bubbles or anything. Just kind of, and you want to prepare these. So you just get little cocktail swords, and first you put a mandarin orange segment up, that's the boat, and then as a counterweight you put a little maraschino cherry on the end, and kind of depending on like the density and buoyancy of everything, like it'll either just sink or float. So you put that in the your glass first, then just strain the mixture over it, and that's the sunken unsunk ship.
That's great.
Nice.
I've made something similar before, and it's really tasty because it's like lemon and orange and Earl Grey and a little bit of sweetness from the cherry. It's nice.
Tastes like Myst.
The name is great. The unsunken ship. Do you ever do anything with that ship?
I don't think so.
This is kind of where you start.
You board it to get to the linking book to go to the stone ship age.
Oh.
Yeah, because it's based off the drink's based off the little model in the fountain.
Oh, do you raise the ship out of the water?
Yeah, pull. Yeah, when you're drinking, you pull the little ship out.
That's so clever.
That's perfect.
I'm sorry, I wish I had something to like demonstrate it. Like,
yes. Hopefully, next video game of the month.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I mean,
I'm putting you on cocktail duty now.
thank you.
Are there any other talking points people want to go over? Like, did we go over what were the hardest parts of the game in your opinion? For me, it was the one with all the water pipes because I kept getting lost.
The wood age?
Yeah.
For me, it was definitely in Stone Ship. There's like, in order to get out, you have to find this like this room, where you put in the information from the telescope thing. But like, in order to find it, you're just clicking blindly on the walls. Like, there's no reason that you would think to click the damn wall to open it. It's super arbitrary.
I don't remember that age very well.
Which one?
This game again.
Are you talking about, because the Masterpiece Edition added age, the rhyme age?
I didn't play Real Myst. I played the original one.
No, I mean the
so
Masterpiece.
It's in Stone Ship
original.
though, the one where it just has the
So there's two versions
the
of
one
Masterpiece.
that has the ship that's stuck in the rock.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah.
In order to get out, you have to like go down the tunnel to like Cirrus and Atris's room, but there's like a secret door that you go through that's just like in one of the random walls, and it like looks like solid rock. And because the cursor doesn't change when you hover over something that's interactable, it's literally just like you're clicking around until you find it.
Also, the what you want to call it? So there's Myst, and then there's Myst Masterpiece Edition, where that's rhyme, and then there's Real Myst, the first version, first 3D iteration, and then there's Real Myst Masterpiece Edition, which is a remake of the 3D version, and then there's the VR version.
Wow. I don't think I ever went to the Rhyme Age either. I never got the Masterpiece Edition.
Yeah. That's in
Where's
every
the
other
Rhyme
version.
Age?
Those
Where
are
is that
actually,
in the game?
that's after you beat the game, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, the beat the game part is pretty lackluster because it's just like, I guess I'll keep wandering around. Look at all
It's an
these
ice and
puzzles I
snow
solved.
age, if I remember right.
Oh, okay. Wonder why they thought to add that in. I don't know.
What here?
Does anyone have a favorite puzzle or favorite island? I actually kind of like the one where you were in the train and you had to like go through the tunnels. I thought that was pretty fun as a child because I liked trains when I played the game. So I was like, ooh, tracks.
Yeah.
I like it on some level, but it's just like, I thought that there was something else I was supposed to do down there, and I wasn't sure. Like, I don't know. It's all just sort of like, it takes so long to go through, each animation, waiting for the next stop, and then checking each, not only the cardinal directions, but the ones in between, like northeast, east, southeast, I really like the sound puzzle in that age, though. That one was cool.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
I hate
I
sound
actually-
puzzles in general, though.
I liked the sound design in the tunnel though, when you were like turning, and the way that everything sounded, I thought was really like futuristic and cool.
Yeah.
And I don't think I was really bothered by how long it took, because I think, I was a child and I was like, I'm playing a video game, yay. But I think it would probably bother me now for sure.
So to be fair, when I was replaying the that part, the button for the sound part of that puzzle didn't work for some reason. I don't know why. So I was just checking every single direction that you could go until I, mapped out the entire route underground.
Oh, I forgot that there was like a sound that was like, go this way. Yep. I don't think I picked up on that either when I played it the first time. But I think when I played it again, I was like, oh, this is easy. Just follow the sound. Yep.
That's just I still feel like this game's so unique. So I'm still like, where is this uniqueness coming from? Like, what's the inspiration? But I like to always bring geography into it a little bit. And it looks like this was their company Cyan was founded. They started operating in their parents' basement in Spokane, Washington. So in the northwest of the United States. I do think it has that type of vibe. There's something maybe almost a Twin Peaks kind of vibe to it. Maybe the trees of the forest, but it's like it doesn't feel like an East Coast game, or even like Doom or something, which is, I don't know, I think it's made in Texas. It does have a like San Francisco, and then like even a little northern California vibe to it.
Definite Pacific Northwest vibe.
Yeah, Pacific Northwest.
We played another Pacific Northwest game, Life is Strange. So,
but that was French, though.
It was French's interpretation of the Pacific Northwest. Yeah. That's true.
Interestingly, I think when the Miller brothers started making the predecessor games, the Manhole and Cosmic Osmo, one of them lived in Texas and the other one lived in Spokane. And by the time they had gotten to Myst, though, they both moved to Spokane to work on it.
So they're still a game company then? They still make things?
Yep, they're still around.
Barely.
They almost went bankrupt a few times.
That's surprising.
Yeah, Cyan almost went bankrupt.
Yeah, but they had a game that came out a couple of years ago, or a year or two ago.
The Kickstarter game it did?
That they kickstarted, yeah, called Abduction.
Abduction, yeah.
Yeah, it came out. Oh, geez, it came out in 2016. Never mind, my perception of time is deeply flawed.
Well, who wouldn't it be? I mean, you've been stuck inside for the past year.
Yeah, but not since 2016. But it's
time capsule.
Didn't you even play it?
Basically, who can afford to go outside in New York City? It's very expensive. We've been inside for 4 years. It's crazy.
That's true. But so it's also a game where you're in a strange alien world and you have to solve puzzles. It sounds like. I know it is a VR game. I think there's also versions of it that aren't VR, but it's both. I personally have not played it. I've seen the trailer. I might have turned it to the Kickstarter. I honestly don't remember. Has anyone here played it? Does anyone know? Does anyone here like it? I know that it's on. I think it's on the PSVR now currently. I think it's also on. I think they just released it for the Xbox last year.
It's pretty good. I mean, it's more of the same, you know? I mean, they went to Kickstarter for a reason, you know? Well, I mean, look at Pillars of Eternity, right? That's, you know exactly what you're getting, right, with that game. And Bloodstain, Shenmue, like all those, you know, retro. Hey, publishers won't fund this game, so, you know, we want you to fund us, you know?
It is interesting, though, to have a title that's so successful and so widespread, and that one time was the best-selling PC game of all time, and now you got to go through Kickstarter to fund your next game.
It is interesting that I know that back in like the early 2000s, they someone made a joke way back at the beginning of the stream talking about a massive multiplayer online version of Myst.
Yeah,
but I
they
do
did
know
make
that
one. Euro
in like
one.
in 2003 they did try to make like Myst online. It was called Uru. It bombed horribly.
It basically almost killed the company.
Yeah.
What was wrong with it?
It wasn't a joke. I was remembering that.
Never mind. Yeah. It's but yeah, it just didn't
They
do well.
built
People
it-
It
didn't like
didn't
it.
work, or no one liked it?
So it sounds like it had pretty much positive reviews, but it had a serious lack of subscribers.
It was on
Basically,
GameTap, actually, the online subscription service thing.
yeah, and so it was supposed to have multiplayer. I think they ended up scrapping the multiplayer or partially scrapping the multiplayer, so it ended up as like
They
more of a
scrapped
single
it and
player
made a
game.
single
but-
player game, and then they're supposed to add it later, and they made those expansion packs. It's just a giant mess.
Yeah, it sounds like unfortunately it had a pretty troubled production, and it was it just had a lot of issues. But it is interesting to think that they did try to do it. They were ambitious enough that they were like, what if we made it an MMO? But it
Didn't
did
work
try to kill
out.
the company. Yeah.
Sam, it sounds like you played it. Do you have anything to add about your personal experience?
It's open source now.
Oh yeah, my experience was my dad was really into Myst and Riven. Like he got like the special edition with like the little pewter figurine of like the little squirrel guy. And he kept it on his computer desk in like a place of pride. And I was not allowed to touch it. But I would when he wasn't around. So he was really excited about Uru, but just the family computer couldn't handle it. I remember I think there was like the opening area was like a desert sort of situation or something. Like it was very barren looking. And I couldn't get more than like a dozen strides before it just shut itself down. So I never really got to play it.
It's actually open source the server now, so you can run your own server now.
Yeah, it kind of makes, now that everyone's playing like the Matrix Online and stuff like that again, it kind of makes me want to like see if there's like an Uru
Matrix
community
Online
out
is kind of
there.
weird. You know it's actually remaking. They're just remaking a client in Unreal 4 because the original client was just a mess. They just like, this is faster to just remake the whole thing than try to reverse engineer it.
I think
Yeah, the actual
I only got as far as Exile. I don't think I even played Revelation or the fifth one.
and
I
the
forgot about Exile too.
This, in a weird way, this kind of relates back to the the opening discussion of whether whether people's dads played this game or not. Like I feel like that's the hardcore fan base is, like my dad played every single one of the sequels, but I only played Myst and Riven. I didn't get past that one.
Yeah, my dad had like a little notebook where he kept a ton of notes. He also loved that that Titanic like mystery game for the PC. Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
that the one that Douglas Adams wrote?
I am not sure. I just remember it was like kind of a similar like point and click adventure style.
Which
And if you
one?
didn't solve the mystery, the Titanic sunk. But I don't know what happened if you did solve the mystery. Because
We might be talking about different things, but I'm thinking of I think there was a game called Starship Titanic that
Yeah,
Douglas
I think that
Adams
was
wrote.
Douglas Adams.
Yeah, this was like a more period, like they tried to like recreate the interiors like pretty accurately sort of thing. I gotta find it.
Does anyone have anything more to add about Myst?
When they named it, there was like mystery, and then they shortened it, or were they like,
I
oh,
don't
Myst is a
know.
great name, or like, because Myst is probably a perfect name for a game.
Yeah.
Uh,
But it is like a misspelling of like MIST.
Yeah.
So did they just want it to be easily searchable by calling it MYST? I don't know.
I don't know what the idea was. All I've gleaned from the videos that I've watched was that they arrived at that one very quickly. It was, someone said, why don't we call it Myst? And everyone was like, okay, cool, that sounds great. As opposed to with Riven, they allegedly, talked about the name of the game for months and months because there was a lot more, producer involvement in that.
There was no searchable in 1993.
There's encyclopedias.
Right, search engine optimization was, a gleam in your parents' eye.
Yeah, I found the Titanic game. It's called Titanic Adventure Out of Time. And I think the whole thing is like you are in the London Blitz and you are sent back in time to solve a mystery that stops World War I on the Titanic. That would be another interesting one to go back to.
That sounds very ambitious from a plot standpoint.
Yeah, for 1996, yes.
Oh, there's a parody computer game called Pissed. If anyone wants to try that out.
Pissed.
Starring John Goodman.
John Goodman.
I believe that Pissed was more expensive, like just paying John Goodman's salary for that was more expensive than the entire production of the original Myst.
Wow.
Just seems like a real waste of money, to be honest.
Wow.
The whole like genre of like parody Mac and PC games from the 90s is kind of a curious thing that maybe we should do a night on sometime as well. Because it's like, it's not something you really see anymore, not to the same extent.
Well, they have the Piss game is like shot for shot. It's just like it's almost the same scenery. It's just all destroyed.
A great title. And it was released in 1996, so it's 3 years later.
Too late, really.
So, did you play the DVD version of Riven or the CD-ROM version of Riven?
I had both versions. I originally played the CD-ROM version, but in my opinion, it was relatively unplayable, especially if you had to hop between islands really quickly.
Yeah, jumping around islands was annoying in the CD-ROM version. You had to constantly swap out the discs.
And it had to be the right one. It had to be the right CD for the island as well. So
and
that
it
was
labeled
confusing.
what CD it was either. It just had no number on it.
Yeah, that was annoying. But once I got the DVD version, I was able to beat it because it was actually playable, in my opinion.
Yeah. And then the DVD version come with like the DVD drives at the time. It was like a packing drive, like because you had to have a special adapter card for those DVD drives back in the late 90s because processors and GPUs couldn't 3D accelerators couldn't decode it fast enough. So those dedicated expansion cards just for the DVD drive to decode the video fast enough.
I don't remember. I think I played it much later than when it came out. So I was probably on XP at that point.
I did play the 3DO Blaster 3DO version on a PC. Jason. The 3DO version of Myst on a PC.
Oh yeah, how was that?
I was using the 3DO Blaster card. You know what that is or not?
No.
So there's an expansion card that had the 3DO hardware on it that you could use on your PC.
Did it play well?
No, it was worse than the PC version, but I was hyped with the 3DO version.
I'm looking at the Pissed game, the parody of the game. Like, I guess Myst is a good object of parody because it takes itself so seriously in a way. Like,
Yeah.
the world is very serious, and even the acting that we saw in the endings. And then it was such a big hit. They say it sold more CDs than any game at that time until like The Sims. Do we feel like the history of Myst, like, does it still sit really well in like video games now? I don't know, 25 years later, does it still hold up? Like, I feel like it hasn't been surpassed. I think Jonathan Blow tried with The Witness, but I I don't think it was a better world. So it still feels like something really grand and unique was created with the Myst.
Yeah, I mean, we struggled to find games that are like it, and we couldn't really think of anything that. And if there is something, it's not as prolific.
And the games that are most like Myst are actually created by the same brothers. Like they kind of just kept going. They're like, okay, we're gonna stay in this universe and keep building on our technology and the gameplay that we have. So they were, I guess, they were obsessed with this universe that they created. Because it didn't like it. There wasn't other creators that took the torch up. It was like, well, we're gonna keep going deeper into this universe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of surprising that they made, Abduction even. I don't know if that is in a different universe or if it's somehow connected to Myst in some way, but it's like, when you get a franchise that's a hit that big, like, it's only natural that you're going to milk it for all it's worth.
It only sold 12 million units across all the series.
That's a lot.
That was a lot for the time.
Yeah.
Mario Brothers sold more.
Mario's also got a lot of sequels.
No, the original NES game I'm talking about.
What did they always say? It's like sold so many copies, Myst. Really, something else.
Yeah, I mean, the lore like just gets so complicated so fast that I don't even remember what the rest of the story is like. I just remember fun puzzles and not so fun puzzles.
Yeah, I mean, it is important to remember that like the PC game market of the 90s and early 2000s and the console market are like very different places.
Now they basically are the same now.
It's changed a lot these days, yeah. But I mean, back then it was like
PC games used to be like more like simulator and very, systems driven, right?
The hardware's changed. The hardware was so much different back then.
Yeah, I mean, PC games, you had to use a frame buffer,
Well, I mean, cartridges versus floppy disks, instant access versus not. I mean, mouse and keyboard versus game pads. I mean, now people just buy game pads and stick them in USB and, it doesn't really matter much. But like, even first person shooters, like, mouse look and keyboard for a long time didn't feel great on console.
Also, the development process was totally different too, because consoles had the bespoke hardware. Like it had the NES had a 6502 chip in it, and the Mega Drive was a Genesis was a Motorola 68K in it, but like all the other ones had specialized chips.
But even if they didn't have specialized chips, they had lots of pieces that were specialized. There was no such thing as Unity where you just write once.
Oh, you wrote your own game.
Speak everywhere.
Except HyperCard.
Except for
HyperCard.
Well, they
just thought of a
probably
game
wound
that
up
is,
implementing their own HyperCard stack. I mean, they probably wound up building a little HyperCard engine for those other platforms.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't.
That's probably true. Yes.
Well, they just took the images and rebuilt the game before they opened.
Right. I mean, like, what are we talking about? We're talking about I need to load an image. I need to have a hotspot that you can click on.
Yep.
And it has to go to a different image.
Yep. Some index values in there and just tells it to go load.
Yeah, I could write that unconscious.
Yeah.
Well, that's these. I mean, the artistry was amazing. So like the 3D art and stuff. So maybe the technology was not as advanced as like Doom.
It was also only 8-bit color too.
The art was amazing.
Yeah, that 8-bit color.
Yeah, there were no brilliant coders at Cyan. I mean, John Carmack and the guys who were figuring out how to raycast Wolfenstein at that point were like absolutely brilliant. And you can kind of look at like in terms of someone was talking about their company not doing great. Like companies that had really solid technical backgrounds, I think, wound up like surviving. If you're like, hey, we're attached to one genre and we're like Leonardo da Vinci's of that genre, sometimes you can ride that for a long time. On the other hand, Tim Sweeney, who wrote a lot of the Unreal Engine and is
He wrote most of Unreal for himself too.
right, super brilliant. He's now a billionaire. I mean, so
Mhm.
like understanding the tech sometimes, has been a better business proposal for the, not always, but in this case.
Well, nowadays, if you're a middleware, you make shit tons of money,
Oh, there's only 2 companies that are left that actually everybody else in middleware
No,
collapsed.
like,
or
I
sold
mean,
out.
not middle, like more like tools and stuff like that, like services and like software, SaaS tools,
You can take a look at Autodesk. They killed all their entire game line SDK line.
Yeah.
Most of those things were just being done decently enough by Unreal or Unity that they couldn't make it work. So you used to have a lot more middleware packages to choose from. Now you have 2 giant engines to choose from.
Yeah.
And,
The big thing now is all the backend tools,
Should we close it out or decide on the next? So
Yeah,
I guess
well-
we're doing. I guess Game of the Month Club. I guess we're doing this again now. Is this is like?
Is Game of the Month Club officially back post
I
COVID
think
era?
so. I
Back,
just had
baby.
like a thought that was a little bit of an aside when I was thinking of games that are like Myst. I forgot, and then I remembered. Was the game Zork, where it's like basically typing version of what Myst is. It's like turn left, turn right, go forward, click on this.
One of the 2 guys who are the principal makers of Myst was not really a gamer at the time, and basically the only other video game he had played before Myst was Zork 1 and 2.
There it is.
Makes sense.
We did it.
Yeah, you
Oh,
can
the
feel the
game.
influence.
But anyway, yeah, I think Video Game of the Month Club, we're back. Yeah. And now
You
we need to
surprised me.
choose the next game that we're gonna play.
What? Maybe before we choose, what are the
Before we-
most popular games that came out during the quarantine when we were on hiatus?
What
So
as
we-
in popular as in sold the most? Or
We don't
as
have to, yeah, I think like there were a lot of games that kind of blew up over the year.
Oh,
I mean,
Well,
we don't have to
Hades
play
is
them,
right.
but like Among Us was probably the biggest hit. That was huge.
Among Us came out in
was-
2018.
I was gonna say Animal Crossing. New
Yeah,
Horizons.
the Animal
think
Crossing
Animal
launched.
Widest
Crossing.
reach. Yeah.
Yeah, right before Hades was like pretty big.
Hades,
Hades is
yeah.
cute.
Hades is cool.
Twitch, like in general, became very big. So there was a resurgence of a lot of games, I think. Like everyone plays The Sims now, for example.
That game where you either are playing a serial killer or you're trying to run away from a serial killer. I'm forgetting the name. Dead by Daylight?
Dead by Daylight.
Yeah.
I know that one's really popular with streamers.
Let's see, you had Persona 5 Royal. You had
Cyberpunk.
Hades.
Cyberpunk. Yeah.
Cyberpunk.
We should play that.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk. Is that really popular or just infamous?
Infamous.
Oh
It
yeah,
actually
that's,
was
I mean,
very
that's a
profitable.
good
for them.
question.
I'm gonna be really interested to see what the consensus is on Cyberpunk in like 2 years.
When they
Yeah.
fix it.
Once everyone sort of had the time to get away from the hype and everything, and people are like, actually, you guys.
Yeah, will it be like New Vegas or something where, a few bugs at launch, don't stand.
Isn't that
the
every
chance?
single
I was gonna
Game
say that
bio
every
game?
GTA game, every
Yeah.
like Oblivion, like
isn't that every
Skyrim.
single game bio game ever released?
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting to see how it ages.
No Man's Sky got really popular. I feel like everyone's playing that.
Yeah,
That's
I've
true.
heard a ton about that lately. It's crazy.
For No Man's Sky, and there's another one. Is called Astroneer.
Ah, I haven't heard that
Astroneer,
one.
yeah, which came out again a couple of years ago, but it's having a moment right now. It's like
Oh, Half-Life. Who could forget Half-Life Alex came out? We had Half-Life last year.
Games.
And Flight Simulator came out last year too, which is amazing.
Oh yeah, Fall Guys. Fall Guys
Fall
came
Guys
out,
came
but then it
out.
was eclipsed by Among Us.
I feel like
As
yeah,
much
I
as
feel
I
like
would
Fall
love
Guys
to
sort
do
of
one,
came and went.
yeah, true. I was gonna say, as much as I would love to do one on Half-Life Alex, because I'd like to play it, I feel like only like 10% of anyone who follows this has the equipment to play that.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
yeah.
does
that's
anyone
a
need a
hefty
headset for
investment.
that? Can you see that? There's like 6 headsets up there, plus a bunch more.
Well,
The problem is the headset. The problem is the $3,000 gaming PC I need to play it.
Oh, I played it. You're gonna hate me, Jason, but I played it in a with 4 Steam Lighthouse 2.0 setups with a backpack PC and index controllers. That was
But those wine physics.
yeah. I played through
When you do
Alex
this.
4 times.
I was so impressed. I saw that Polygon video on the wine physics. I was like, shit, that's the future is now.
It's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah, I played it with index controllers. I played it with Windows Mixed Reality controllers, Vive ones, and Oculus controllers. I played them with all.
So, so in terms of the next game, sometimes we put a vote out on social media. We don't know really where it feels like a lot of things have shifted during the quarantine. We don't know where the center of the group is. Is it the Baby Castle's Discord? Is it
Where are the kids
aging-
at these days?
Yeah, where are they?
Anybody
I
know?
thought the kids were at on BBS's multi-board systems
BBS.
and IRC.
I know that we discussed a little bit. We talked about some potential games previously, just like going forward.
Have we done Panzer Dragoon Saga?
No.
I don't think so. I don't know if that one got mentioned. I know we talked about some other some more sort of like classic games, and we talked about some more more contemporary games as well. So I think we are definitely open to suggestions and just thinking about what we're going to do going forward.
Well, also the problem with Panzer Dragoon Saga 2 is the discs are have copy protection on them too, which are very difficult to break.
So
yeah.
So if we put out another poll, we're unsure where the center of gravity is. Is it on the Baby Castle Discord? We still have the Facebook group. I don't know. I know some people came in from Twitter. We don't know if the next game of the month is going to be digital again, or if Baby Castle is going to have their space again. But there's a lot of unknowns that are kind of up in the air. Right
If we made a doodle poll or something and posted the link to that to various places, would anyone actually vote on it?
That'd be good. Yeah, to have something centralized.
I say let's give it a try and see what happens.
That
Right.
sounds great. And then also, so that sounds good. So we'll put out the links on the various socials that we have now, and you guys just vote on whatever that next game might be. And then if you're really into Game of the Month Club and you want to be a little more involved in kind of the organization of it, I think we are going to have a little brief meeting this Monday to just talk about the next thing. Is that what the plan was?
That's what I was thinking.
Okay. So if someone's like, oh my God, I really want to help out, because not that there's a lot of help, but there might be something people could do. Just reach out and tell
Andrew,
somebody. And then
Babel Castle should look into getting a retro video scaler for the retro. If they do retro computer stuff.
Oh, for retro game. Well, we gotta vote on it. So you gotta put that game in the list. Awesome. Jason, you want to close this out or anything else?
No, I'm good. I'll put together a poll and send the link out to post in various places.
Jason,
well, Lindsay, thank you so much for getting everyone excited about this again. It's cool to feel like this is kind of a thing again. So thanks everyone.
Yeah,
and
we'll probably have the next one in a month or so. So
likewise, thank you to everyone who showed up to participate in the discussion. It's great to have people come. I know it's difficult right now.
We got Robin. Maybe next time we'll hear Robin's voice. He had some good comments in the chat. So.
Yeah. We're gonna put this video on YouTube, so anyone who didn't get to join the discussion can watch it later. But thanks for joining, everybody. Have a great night.
Later,
Question: Did you finish Panzer Dragoon yourself or no?